Alpha.
Hi, I'm Grier from the Sony Centre in Carlisle, and I've come down to Sony head office today in Weybridge to meet Sam Pilling to see a brand new piece of kit from Sony. So Sam, we've got a new camera and it's a silver top.
Yes, this is our brand new A7C. The C referring to its compact size, and yes, it's available in a twin colour setup with that nice shiny silver top. But the main thing you'll notice straight away is the size of the body. And what we should point out, with this being an A7 series camera, if you take the lens off the front of that camera, you'll see that it houses a full frame sensor.
But it's physically looking like the same size as an APS-C 6600 which we've got beside it.
Yes, you'll find that it's actually 1% lighter than a 6600 and relatively the same size. It's incredibly small. So if I just pick this up and take the lens off the front, you can see that it has that large sensor. Unlike the 6600, which features an APS-C size sensor, we can actually see that even though the size of the camera has hardly changed, we now have a full frame sensor inside a relatively compact camera body. There's a few other features that you'll notice as well, which have started to appear on more and more Sony cameras. So if you have a look at the screen on the back, you'll see something which first appeared with the ZV-1. It's a 180 degree rotating screen. So it's great for vlogging, it's great for selfies, it's great for composing any sort of shot where it's difficult to see the back of the camera. But of course, even though it's got that compact form, you still have an OLED viewfinder built into the back of the camera. The A7C is most closely related to the A7 Mark III. And you can see we've got an A7 Mark III on the table there. And size-wise, it's a huge difference. But it will still shoot 10 frames per second. It still has 24 megapixel. It'll shoot 4K video. And actually the 4K video performance, because we're using the latest version of the Bionz X processor, is slightly improved. So we now have eye autofocus when shooting 4K video. That's an actual upgrade from the original A7 Mark III.
It certainly feels very comfortable in the hand, and I do like the side screen.
Yeah, it's small, it's comfortable, it's light. It does mean that there's just one UHS-2 SD card slot because we don't actually have room to put another one in there anywhere, but it does still use the Z series battery. So you've got fantastic length of shooting times or recording video. In addition to that, you've still got a headphone jack, a microphone jack. You still have a micro HDMI slot in there as well. So it's got plenty of functionality. It's just far, far smaller than we've previously had. And it, of course, still has a multi-interface shoe on the top there, so it's compatible with a wide range of accessories.
So it's still the normal full frame E-mount. It will fit obviously all the full frame lenses that are out currently. Is there any compact lenses coming to go with it?
Absolutely. So you're correct. It's an E-mount camera, so it's compatible with 57 different E-mount lenses, of which 37 are full frame. And we're launching a new 28 to 60mm lens, which will be f4 to 5.6, and will be our lightest and smallest ever zoom lens. It's incredibly small. Unfortunately, I don't want to have one here to show you today, but it only weighs 167 grams. So it's extremely light, it's extremely compact, and it fits in incredibly well with the camera. We do, of course, already have some lenses which are small and compact and lend themselves really well to that particular camera. In this particular case here, we've got the beautiful Zeiss 35mm f2.8. On the front of the A7 Mark III, there's our 50mm, and there's a variety of different 50mm lenses which are relatively small in form factor. And of course, there's the 55mm from Zeiss, which again, small, light, but incredible shooting capability.
I mean, the 7 Mark III for a full frame camera was always seen to be really light and compact. But the 7C, again for the full frame camera, it just feels so different and so lighter.
Yeah, it's totally. I mean, I've always been a huge fan of APS-C cameras. This is my 6600 and it goes with me everywhere because of the form factor. And people often say to me, why aren't you using an A7? And I will use an A7 for really important events, but for day to day when I want to just capture the things I see in front of me, an APS-C camera has always been great because you've had that much smaller form factor and you've also to a certain extent had smaller lenses. With the A7C though, the proposition's totally changed. I have that incredibly small form factor, almost identical in size and weight to a 6600, but now it can go anywhere with me without the need for a dedicated camera bag. It will in fact just about fit in your jacket pocket, so it's incredibly small.
So you'll be making the change shortly then?
Well, I don't want to give up on my 6600. It's a trusty workhorse and it does everything that we need it to do. It's what we're using to shoot these videos now. But one advantage that if I did switch to an A7C, because it's got the newer version of the multi-interface shoe there, we're recording this video using the ECM B1M microphones. They're dedicated zoom microphones for video, which have the capability to shoot digitally, so we can capture audio digitally. Unfortunately, my 6600 doesn't have the pin in the multi-face hot shoe, which carries the digital signal. It converts back to analog. If I was to change to an A7C, one of the first advantages would be when shooting videos like this, I'd be able to have full digital workflow. So not just stills benefit, not just size benefit, even the smaller details like video, I'd get a real benefit from.
And again, it still uses the Z battery, so the number of shots per charge, is that going to be the same as the 7 Mark III?
Yeah, it's approximately the same. It's worth saying that we do use a slightly new shutter system, so the performance of the electronics isn't exactly the same. The new shutter system, it actually sounds different to the existing shutter system, but it's still 10 frames per second. You can still shoot completely silently, and it's also got, of course, our image stabilization technology in body. So you'll get 5 stops of image stabilization without having any form of image stabilization in the lens. Adding image stabilization to the lens of the camera means that, again, you get even more improved low light shooting or smooth 4K video.
So clearly with the side screen, it's clearly going to appeal to the vloggers in the market as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have the advantage of the microphone input through the side of the camera. You have the opportunity to connect Sony professional style microphones through the multi-interface shoe. And of course, because it's that bit smaller and lighter, you could also put it on a gimbal. So as well as the image stabilization built into the body and the image stabilization in some of the lenses, you could place that camera on a gimbal and then use it to vlog, or use a gimbal to get smooth motion video wherever it is you go. So because of its size and weight, it could replace an APS-C camera as your go-to camera when it comes to continuous video recording. And of course, there's no 30-minute time limit to that 4K video recording.
Well, I think it feels fantastic in the hand, and I can't wait to show customers in the store. So in terms of availability and time, when's it launching and when we're going to be able to show it to customers?
The A7C will be available from October onwards. The lens, the 28-60 f4 to 5.6, will be available from January onwards. So I guess the best way of getting hold of one would be
pre-order on the site or give us a shout at the Sony Centres.
Cheers.
Cheers.